Okay.
Okay. Now your grandmother was born on the 11th of April. You were 11 days old. And there's one other 11 that I'll tell you about later.
Okay.
So those numbers are very important in your life. I know you've heard bits and pieces, but I just have to tell you this story now because I've never really told you parts of the story. But I remember when you were born, you were so beautiful. You were just the tiniest little baby. You weighed 8 pounds. And I had been in a woman's shelter because your father had a bad brain disease, as he still does, with addiction. And I got out, I got a Toyota, 20 years old. I got out of the shelter. We were in an apartment that the government was paying for. Your grandmother's father came over, and he picked up your brother, because he was 3 years old. And then you and I and my mother, that we were going to the doctor. We're going to get you checked, and we're going to get me checked, and everything's going to be checked out okay. And my mother was living with us. She loved you so much. She played with you so much those first 11 days. So Mama and I went out there, and we were trying to put you in the car seat. You were just this little tiny infant. Maybe you probably had lost a little weight. You know, you probably weighed 7 pounds, maybe 10 ounces. So we put you in this seat, and we couldn't lock you in because, of course, my seatbelt wouldn't work in the back of the Toyota. It was a Corolla. Then we tried to put you in the middle, and there was no seatbelt. And then I tried to put you over here in your little car seat because there were no laws about car seats back then. And when we both had to get in the car because we couldn't get that, I remember we couldn't get that seat belt, you know, connected. And finally we just slammed it in there, and we thought you were good to go, right? I started walking around the car, the front of the car, and Mama started walking around the other side of the car. And then all of a sudden, we spaced out completely. We were looking at the hood of the car, and it was like we were looking down on the hood, and it was like, you know, Rocky Horror's Picture Show or something. It was a time warp. There's something that happened there. And I stopped at a red light, and this rock and roll solo guitar was playing that didn't have any rhythm. I don't know what radio station it was, but I remember we both reached for the knob of the radio at the same time to turn it off. And then she looked up, the light turned green, and boom, we pulled out. This great big white truck hit us. And I remember I heard you crying in the back seat. I mean, it was... Well, okay, I need to relax. I've been carrying this for so long. I think you were knocked out of the infant seat. My mother, you know, she was convulsing. My mother was convulsing. She had hit her head real hard. And I think I hit my head real hard. My glasses came off, and they were like this or something, and my hands were like this. And then all of a sudden, I was out on the sand, and I was sitting next to this adobe hut. And I could feel the hut in back of me, and all these people were talking, and you know, it was so quiet. You could have heard a pin drop. You could have heard a pin drop. Out there on the sand, you couldn't hear a sound. I couldn't hear a sound. I couldn't hear anything. I could not hear anything except the people talking. There were a lot of people talking, and I didn't know what to do. And I looked, and way in the distance, I looked down. I had a burlap sack on. I was dressed in burlap, and I was barefoot, and I was out there on the sand. And all these people were talking, and you know, they were in a crowd, And they were all in burlap too, and it was quiet. I couldn't hear a sound. And they came over, and they were all going, "Oh, I've always wanted to see her. I've always wanted to see her. Let's look at her. Let's look at her. Let's see what she looks like." I heard them saying that about me, you know? And they came over, and they looked at me. It's like they loved me or something. And my glasses were on my lap. And then all of a sudden, I look, and this man, he was really interesting. He had a big nose, and his hair was brown, and he came walking across the desert. When he looked into my eyes, I got calm. He calmed me down, and he said, "You've got to do something for me." And I woke up just like that, you know, just like I was next to that hut. And I came from the desert back into the car. Back. And Mama had been taken. They told me that she had been taken on a helicopter to the hospital, and I thought I heard you crying, but they said you were gone too, but I could still hear you crying. You were fine. You were just fine. You were 11 days old, and you were just fine, and your grandmother died. And it took her a while to die, but she died. And I couldn't shake the startle reflex over the next 2 years. I couldn't shake it. PTSD really bad, and I couldn't function very well. My whole life was just in shambles. I left your father, of course, and I got together with another man that was an atheist. He was walking through the room one day, and we were going to go to sleep, right? And he didn't have any soul or spirit or anything like that. He was just an atheist. I don't even know if he thought the flowers were beautiful. And you know what a peace-loving person I am. And so this is what I did. I came in the room, and I knew we were going to sleep. And I put my head down on the pillow really quick. And from the moment my head was up to the moment it went onto the pillow, this big light went pew, like that, and it flashed through my head. And when I got down to the pillow, and I had my eyes closed, because I was kind of scared of this man. You know, he wasn't a delightful person that I was living with. And when my head hit the pillow, guess who came back? Yeah, the man from the desert. And he looked in my eyes, and he was calm, really calm. Again, but that light. And you know what he said? He said, "Look at me. Look. This is so hard for me to tell you this, because I've been waiting, and now today's your birthday." But he goes, "You have to get this story out."
I love you.